What's going on, everyone? Welcome to. It's been a while since we've done one of these. This is the Mental Health Podcast. My name is Mike. I'll be your host for this evening. And joining me tonight, we've got Nick.
I feel like that's apt for everybody.
Yeah, if that doesn't describe the last, 2 years, or even just the last couple months. Decade, yeah.
No, so this is where we just get transparent with everybody. This is going to be very politically heavy, and this is going to probably conflict with a lot of people who might not agree with this. And just for anybody who just wants escapist content, this isn't going to be one of your episodes. But I feel like we're all going through this together, that we just kind of figured, you know what, let's actually just talk about it and try to have fun with this and try to at least have some solid laughs about it too.
Because that's the thing. If we can't laugh at the insanity that is the world right now, then we'll all just be miserable.
Oh, exactly. And well, I guess this is where we really just tear the Band-Aid off and just say how we really feel. Fuck Donald Trump. Well, here's where I'm really going to get started, because as opposed to, say, the first Trump administration, there at least are not just news outlets, but like YouTube channels dedicated to political content that isn't bending over backwards and letting Trump wreak havoc all over your government. So I'm just going to go through a list of 6 YouTube channels I think everybody should check out. And this is obviously going to tie into Canada as well, because up here we have our own shit show of an election coming up for different reasons. So some of these are going to be bigger YouTubers, so I'm just going to get those out of the way. The Midas Touch Network, they upload daily. They've actually overtaken Joe Rogan's #1 spot on Spotify as the #1 most listened to podcast.
Nice.
And up next, Brian Tyler Cohen. He's on MSNBC a lot. He's gotten really popular, I want to say, since COVID happened and Trump was just about to get booted out of office the first time. And then this is who I just discovered recently in the last, I want to say, 3 months, 4 months almost. Kyle Kalinske, he basically breaks up a podcast into separate episodes based off of the topic. And he's just basically unabashedly like, no, fuck Trump, fuck you and the horse you rode in on if you're going to defend this guy. So some Canadian content creators for a change. I just got Mike into Steve Boots. He's from Saskatchewan. He's really funny, really insightful. The thing I really hated about the first Trump administration was how everybody just acted all, oh, both sides of the political spectrum, they're all biased, bruh. You know, both sides are just as bad as each other, bruh. No, this guy will actually be like, look, there's some good ideas that the Liberal Party in Canada has. There's some good ideas that the NDP has. There's nothing but bad ideas that the Conservatives have, but he's not afraid to also just be like, Liberals, you fucked up. NDP, you fucked up.
We need more people like that in the US, because there's not really a whole lot of people who are more
intellectually honest.
Yes, that's the word I'm looking for.
2 more, and one might actually just come up later on in the episode. Rachel Gilmore, she actively does stuff on Instagram and TikTok, just reels breaking down what's going on in politics. I have a point I really want to loop back to around, and I want Mike to remind me of this because this royally pissed me off. And also, lastly, the Rational National. He actually was a politician. I believe he ran for our Green Party. And he basically he dives into U.S. politics, but he also covers Canadian politics as well. So I just want to stress, really, it's just refreshing as opposed to 2016 or 2017, where it just felt like they just wanted to let Trump off of the hook for everything just because it was Hillary Clinton he was running. Not that I was like ever a die-in-the-wool Hillary fan. Like, just to be clear, like, I would have been way happier to see Bernie Sanders become president.
Same.
But unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. But again, at least we have more people like Bernie Sanders, AOC, Jasmine Crockett pushing back against the fucked up shit I am seeing Elon Musk and Donald Trump do to your fucking country, dude. So I guess I might as well let you rant for a bit if you want.
I mean, I don't really have too much to rant about that other more intelligent individuals have already, but we can both admit that guys like first of all, guys like Elon Musk just absolutely have no idea what they're doing in government, period.
No, like when you're dismantling government services that people genuinely need, or just dismantling shit for the sake of dismantling it. Like, let's just look at air traffic controllers right as planes are dropping out of the fucking sky.
Which, by the way, yes, plane crashes have always happened, but the volume of plane crashes that have been happening since Trump took office is just mind-blowing.
No, this is just further proof to me that do not let billionaires, CEOs, do not let these people make super important organization management level decisions, because this is an environment where you should be fully staffed. This should be something that you should be spending money on. I'm not against the idea of cutting unnecessary spending, but this seems pretty fucking necessary.
Agreed.
And then also don't forget, he's cutting shit like pancreatic cancer research. He's cutting out all the checks and balances in terms of, you know, what his business can and can't get away with. The fact that he has SpaceX rockets blowing up as they're going up into the sky.
That's another thing. Like, how is he able to still run his other businesses if he has like a government position?
Well, let's get into a little bit of some laughter, because at least we have somebody like Tim Walz who, to be honest, I would have been cool if he ended up becoming president for you guys. Just to be honest, because him running around on stage showing Tesla stock prices crashing, and then Elon Musk going on Fox News, almost bursting into tears. Oh. Literally him going like, Tim Walz running around on stage showing Tesla prices crashing. What a jerk. What a creep. Oh. And I'm like, shut the fuck up, you big baby. Seriously.
Speaking of Elon Musk's thin skin, what was that you showed me earlier about him rage quitting a live stream?
I was looking forward to getting to this. Okay, so Elon Musk is literally a fake gamer. So he claimed that he was the #1 Diablo 4 player in the world, and it ended up getting revealed to everybody that he just paid people millions of dollars to play the game on his account just so that way they could boost his numbers up. So that's the only reason why, because he has an insane ego and just wants to be great at everything. So what happens is, to show off how, quote, powerful Starlink was, he was on a private jet trying to play Path of Exile 2. That was the game. So what happens is he ends up playing the tutorial section, and on stream, he is just getting bullied like nonstop. All of the usernames are like, Elon Musk is a fraud, Elon Musk is a pedophile, and they're all just saying shit like, you owe your baby mama child support. and just spamming the chat nonstop with abuse, and you can see him visibly getting pissed off. And at one point, I think he even starts like humming a grime song, his ex-wife, but yeah, he starts humming one of her songs, and he just he just gets roasted nonstop. And here's the catch too. Every time he was dying, this was the fucking tutorial. When you suck at video game, like, it's probably why I should never be a pro streamer, honestly, because I don't have a super thick skin, but I also have the ability to recognize I'm not going to run around and claim that I'm the best gamer on the face of the planet. I mean, fuck, I've got a life. I might play video games, but I've got a life. But no, I just thought that was genuinely hilarious to see the world's biggest robber baron get taken down some pegs. And at least there are things that we can laugh at like that, like seeing Tesla stock prices crashing, like seeing people actively exercise, in your guys' case, First Amendment right to go protest his companies, and the fact that he's sicking the Department of Justice and the FBI on people for protesting. It's like, congrats, you guys are not the free speech warriors you claim to be.
Yeah, no, that's another thing. I'm 99% positive, no, 100% positive that people who are all about free speech have not really read or understood what that entails.
No, these types of people, to me, they just want carte blanche to say the N-word or the other F word.
Yeah.
Like, let's just be honest. They just want to be, people like Ronnie Radke just want to be able to call people the 6-letter F word. I'm not going to say it, but you all know which one I'm meaning, or the 3-letter version of it. People like that, they just want to be able to get away with saying shit like that. And to me, that's not free speech. Me exercising, in Canada's case, free expression. Mike, what's a band you and I would not agree on?
Yeah, I'll say it, Bullet for My Valentine.
Here's my thing. I'm just not as aggressively against Bullet as I used to be, but you know what? That's where I just go like, hey, you're allowed to like him. We can agree to disagree, whatever, and just move on. Like, that's actual free speech. You know, being able to say the LGBT community doesn't deserve rights and they deserve to be berated with every slur on the goddamn planet, and black people don't deserve the same treatment as white people. Watch as douchebags decide to take what I just said out of context to try to manipulate me, but guess what? People like that fucking exist, and they want to say shit like that, and I think that's grossly unacceptable. You know, if you're actually going 10 years ago, these people were so anti-feminist to the point where they were like, oh, everybody deserves to be treated fairly and equally, but now just watches today, those same people, they think they're fucking superior to everybody.
It's embarrassing that we have to share a planet with these jackasses.
Yeah, exactly. But again, that's why I wanted to bring up some of these YouTube channels up at the top, because at least there is pushback. That was the thing that made me kind of veer away from politics for such a long time, was just the fact that it was like, God, all I hear is just people defending Trump, defending his policies, right-wing influencers like fucking Jordan Peterson defending what he's fucking doing. But now at least there seems to be pushback. At least there, like, even people like Ben Shapiro are actively getting way more roasted than he would have 10 years ago.
Which I appreciate, because I can't spend more than 10 seconds listening to his voice. I hate him that much.
Do I dare do an impression of him?
But Mike, I'm just gonna talk really fast and act like I'm super intelligent when I'm really not, and I'm just gonna say everything to try to be contrarian to try and throw you off.
See, like that, I don't blame you. He gets irritating super fucking fast. But again, at least there are people who are willing to push back on him. And I just want to bring this up because we brought up Bernie Sanders earlier. The fact, and I know we're probably going to end up roasting crowd sizes eventually, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, hint at what's coming up next. But look at Bernie Sanders and he's not even running for like re-election. It's not an election year. And you see him out on the road going to these towns, like not even, are some of these even red districts? I'm not even sure. I didn't really look up which dates and where he was going specifically, but like he's selling these places out.
Good for him, because what he's saying is frankly more important than the other major issues happening in our country.
Oh, I think that he's going to be a major historical figure one day. Like eventually, if either of us end up having kids like 20 years down the road and they're in school, we're going to be able to actually say like, hey, I remember seeing Bernie Sanders on YouTube or on TV back in the day. And just kind of going like, he was a major figure in that he was standing up to the robber barons, to the billionaires, to the ultra wealthy, and going like, look, if you support the lower to middle class and actually, you know, give them things like healthcare, dental care, which I don't understand why even in Canada, dental care is not tied into healthcare, or free college tuition, stuff like that, doing things that genuinely benefit people in their daily lives, which should be the job of the fucking government.
Exactly.
The fact that he is willing to actually stick up for the average human being, I think is something special. So the fact that he is packing out arenas and that there are even like overflow crowds that he goes out and meets, you know, I think that's awesome. And I guess to tie this into another point really is I am really disappointed in your Democratic Party not just trying to basically pander to Trump's base, basically trying to entertain his ideas even.
We were talking off air about the idea of hopefully one day we actually get a left party instead of whatever the hell the Democrats are doing now.
Oh, because you have people like what's his name, Fetterman, basically kissing ass to Trump's agenda and basically just voting with Republicans under the idea of being bipartisan. Like, here's the thing that I think is what's working for the Republicans. They are just like, fuck your bipartisanship. We're not going to work with you until we get what we want. And until we're in power, we're not working with you. Fuck you and the horse you rode in on. I think that is what the Democrats really should be doing. But unfortunately, you have Hakeem Jeffries and fucking Chuck Schumer bending over backwards to the billionaire class and to Trump's administration going, maybe we'll work with you and let you cut healthcare. Maybe we'll work with you and let you cut Social Security.
Yeah, we can't keep doing that, because then sooner or later we will lose like we will lose like all of that stuff.
Well, that's why you push back. That's why when you have the power, you're supposed to fucking wield it. You know, it'd be like if you're watching Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, you get to the Battle of Helm's Deep, and then they're just like, they see the army of orcs approaching, the army of orcs in this case being the Republicans, and then just everybody in Helm's Deep is like, okay, fuck it, you win.
Yeah, no, we need to push back and push back hard.
Which, again, to be clear, at least there is pushback happening. Like, I'm super impressed with like all of these protests happening across your country, man. Like, the fact that there are crowds that huge pushing back against them. And also, I'm not going to completely throw Republican voters under the bus necessarily, because another thing during your guys' last election was there was a YouTube channel that I would watch from now and then because I'd get curious. called Republican Voters Against Trump. And these people were, most of them either were like, after January 6th, there's nothing he can do to win me back. Or just, watching everything that happened in his first term, they're just like, nope, not letting this happen again. Nope, I fool me once. Yeah, no, get the fuck out of here. So at least there's pushback in that regard, and at least there's also pushback from Republican voters in these fucking town halls. Like, I'm assuming even you've seen the footage of this, right?
I'm trying to remember the name of the guy who was doing this press conference for like hours on end.
Oh, the filibuster guy, the
Yeah.
Democrat guy. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I just don't remember. I was just referring to like the Republican town halls where like even Republican voters are like, no, tax Elon Musk, deport Elon Musk. He is the one who is the fucking problem, not, people coming to this country or people being illegally arrested by ICE for the fact that they have a different skin color than us.
No, good on those people, the Republicans against Trump, for speaking up and showing some like actual backbone and saying like, no, we're not going to take this anymore.
Well, here's where I'm even going to meet somewhat in the middle with some of these people. I don't disagree that the point of somebody in government should be doing their job. But the problem is a lot of these Republicans that get voted in, they literally just do it to collect a paycheck. They literally do it just so that way they can just constantly keep getting reelected and reelected and reelected and just do stuff like buy stocks and get the fucking buybacks even.
Yeah, that's just not right.
No, not at all. So at least there is the level of pushback that is happening. So I guess with that in mind, do you want to ask me what is going on up here even? Because I guess this kind of, we're so tied to you guys at this rate. So just ask me anything for everybody listening at home now.
Well, let's start right from the beginning. So first of all, can you explain the difference between a U.S. election and Canadians' elections?
So, difference between U.S. and Canadian elections. Our elections are much shorter. Like the longest one I've lived through is the 2015 election when Justin Trudeau beat Stephen Harper. That lasted, I want to say, from I think September to October. I probably have my dates wrong, but it was a longer period of time between the start of that election and Justin Trudeau taking office. So ours are considerably shorter. And in this case, we elect a leader of a party rather than old primaries like you guys do. So I guess really to just cut to current times, really just let's just say December 2024, roughly. So I have a saying because Justin Trudeau started to become deeply, deeply unpopular here in Canada, where their poll numbers were basically, they were going to, if an election were to be held, they would have been in fourth place. So just to be clear to everybody, we have more than two political parties here in Canada, the Liberals, the NDP, the Green Party, the Bloc Québécois, and the Conservatives. We don't really count the People's Party because they're just a farther right version of the Conservatives. But basically, Justin Trudeau was polling in to basically be last place. So he ended up deciding to resign in January of this year. And this was right as Trump is taking office, and actively he makes a joke when Trudeau goes to Mar-a-Lago, and he says everybody keeps insisting that this is a joke. Whenever Trump says something and always just says it's a joke, it's not a fucking joke. It's time to stop playing this. It's time to stop playing dumb and just admit the truth. He's not telling a joke. He tells Justin Trudeau that he'd be a pretty great governor of the 51st state. And then he repeats it in press conferences more that Canada should be the 51st state. Fuck you. Fuck you and the horse you rode in on. I am not an American, and I never will be. And I say that with respect to my friends on the podcast, but I am not an American. Fuck that shit. So around this time, even though Justin Trudeau is basically on his way out and a new Liberal leader is going to be elected, Trump basically keeps repeating this and keeps repeatedly threatening to tariff Canada, imposing a 25% tariff and then pulling it back, imposing it, pulling it back, imposing it, pulling it back.
Man, I've heard that like 25% tariff thing for so long, and I'm like, do you really think he'll actually go through with this?
Well, the amount of times that he's pulled the tariffs back, like that's what's causing the stock market to be as bad as it is the fact that it just ends up making it crash, and then it somewhat recovers, and then it crashes even further. Like, we are talking about a guy who bankrupted casinos, for fuck's sakes.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point.
So I say all of that in mind, with Trump threatening to annex us, imposing the tariffs. So even with Justin Trudeau on his way out, we impose tariffs on the United States, but also provinces throughout the country start basically following suit to do things like, another example is conservative leader in Ontario, Doug Ford. He's the premier there. For people who don't know, the premier is basically what a governor would be for the United States. He basically represents the province. So Doug Ford, in response to Trump tariffing the United, and bear in mind, he was a Trump guy. So when this was announced that it would be happening, he took all of the liquor off of the shelves in Ontario and basically said, no, we're going to box this up. We're not going to sell it. No more American alcohol. We want to make sure that these red states that we import our alcohol from, we want to make sure that their finances fucking hurt. So then if any retaliation in terms of tariffs happens from Trump, he's even like, I'm not going to be afraid to even turn off the power to neighboring states that we send electricity down to the United States to, which he has backpedaled and then decided to go ahead with it and then backpedaled again. But at least he's doing the right thing. So there's also, and he's probably my favorite premier in the country, Wab Kinew. I should have sent you this video earlier, Mike, but he holds a press conference with all of his staff and he starts going like, well, today's a great day. This is a beautiful order. This is a wonderful order. I am signing this saying we are taking all alcohol from the United States off of our shelves in Winnipeg. And then everybody just starts clapping. So it's like, dude has a genius sense of humor. And really the only two provinces, unfortunately, are mine, Alberta, basically playing footsies with Trump. And I have to tie this into the douchebag who will be running against the Liberals in this election. Our premier, Danielle Smith, she is a Trumper. She has invited Tucker Carlson and Jordan Peterson to my city. Yeah. To the arena I actively go to concerts in, no less. And she also went to PragerU's event on taxpayer money to go talk to Ben Shapiro.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then just to make this even worse, this is where I'm going to really start ranting for Mike. She said she has taught, and I consider this to be some level of foreign interference, that she wants the Trump administration to do this because currently, since Justin Trudeau is no longer the Liberal leader, Mark Carney is the Liberal leader now. He was elected by voting Liberal members, so don't let anybody tell you that he's unelected. You should have registered to be a Liberal for 5 seconds, vote for him, and then complain about him. So don't give me that shit that he's unelected. Fuck off. But also, currently, with Mark Carney at the leadership, the Liberals are polling considerably better instead, and they're poised to even take a majority in our House of Commons, basically. So she has talked to some people in Trump's administration to pause the tariffs until Mark Carney's opponent wins the election, and then he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
The fuck if I know, dude. This bitch is trying to fucking privatize our healthcare. She wants us to be a part of America, basically.
And how is that allowed?
Yeah, unfortunately, dude, I live in Canadian Texas. So let's just put it that way. We bend over backwards for the oil and gas
that
industry.
doesn't sit right with me.
So I guess this is where we start talking about my favoriteest human being on the planet at the moment, only sitting right next to the director of a Serbian film, I guess. Ugh.
Yeah, so what do you have to say about frickin' Pierre Poilievre?
Pierre Poilievre. Okay, so I've at least had the nerve to send Mike some Canadian content, at least. I sent him for Canadian viewers. For non-Canadian viewers who want to know who this douchebag is, Pierre Poilievre is a conservative MP who has been a career politician for the last 21 years, basically. So at this clip in particular, at age 31, he qualified for a full goddamn pension on the backs of taxpayers. So that should tell you everything you need to know about the guy. But also, just to throw this into consideration, he is a massive racist. So this is where I have to go into detail on it to back up my point. So Canada has a bit of history when it comes to its indigenous population. The native communities have really been hurt by the Canadian government in particular. I've told Mike little bits about this, but for our viewers that will reacquaint, Mike, do you remember little bits of what I've told you about residential schools?
Very little. I think. Why don't you explain it again? Just so I have the greater context.
So residential schools were basically to erase indigenous culture from the indigenous communities. They basically wanted to separate these children from their parents, and they basically made them live in deplorable conditions where the worst things that I really do not want to describe because they are horrifying. But the indigenous communities were not treated well. I'll just give everybody the PG version of it. The indigenous communities were very hurt by our government, and borderline basically just wanted to genocide an entire group of people for no reason. So it was sometime in 2008, I want to say, that even the Harper government was trying to work towards reconciliation with the indigenous communities here in Canada. And Pierre Poilievre said something to the effect of throwing money at these people won't make this go away, and that indigenous communities should, quote, learn the value of hard work.
That was the part that I remember really pissing me off.
This is where I get Bree to drop in a sample, and we absolutely did not plan this, but Bree, let Marty McFly from Back to the Future do the talking here.
He's an asshole.
seriously, this guy is such a smug, massive douchebag that I literally just call him right-wing Milhouse. Yeah, no joke. He literally just looked like Milhouse, but just was Stephen Harper's lackey for the last decade, and then ended up being elected to be the opposition leader of the Conservative Party. So throw in also the fact that when he became conservative leader as well, he did not get his security clearance, which every sitting leader of each party has had to get their security clearance. He won't fucking do it under the guise of it's censorship.
That is a word that has honestly lost meaning as the years went by.
No, he just wants to lie without any repercussions. That's pretty much all he wants to do, is just lie without any repercussions. He doesn't have Canada's best interests in mind. He's in league with the robber barons. He's literally in league with our billionaires here in Canada. Mike, can you name me one of your guys' biggest grocery stores in the United States? Because I can't think of one off the top of my brain.
Let's see, biggest. Okay, places like Costco's, Walmart, if that counts, Kroger.
Okay, let's go with Kroger because we do have Walmart and Costco up here, but no, so one of Poilievre's aides is a lobbyist for Loblaws, which is literally probably our biggest grocery store chain. They basically own pretty much every major grocery store in Canada, from things like Superstore to even Shoppers Drug Mart. Like they pretty much have a monopoly. There's really only 3 big major grocery store companies, and they're one of the 3. So they've clearly profited off of this, quote, inflation over the last 3 years. But basically, all Poilievre really does is just sloganeers the shit out of every speech he makes. Like, I pointed one out to you that all he says is, axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, stop the crime. That's all he fucking does. He doesn't bring forward any policy other than crying about Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, and that's not gonna really win you any new votes.
Oh, back in December, people were fucking falling for this guy, man. Like, they're like, I understand it. I do want politicians on some level to be like, okay, what can I do to make your life materially better? I understand that, yes, things are very expensive, from groceries to the cost of homes to the cost of everything. Even rent prices. But here's the problem. He just wants to give more tax cuts to his billionaire friends. I mean, we are talking about a member of parliament who has a mansion and a butler. We are talking about a literally a Batman villain, pretty much. So, and here's the other thing, just looping back around to the censorship thing. Guys, remember how I said we'll come back to Rachel Gilmore in just a second? I had to send this Mike's way, and I want to know your reaction before I describe it to everybody.
My reaction was just kind of bewildered by what happened to her.
So, just to give everybody context, so she actually was a member of the Parliament Press Gallery. She worked for, I believe, it was for Global News, because our big news outlets are Global News, CTV, City TV, and I'm probably forgetting one other, but there's at least like 3 or 4 big Canadian, and CBC. How can I ever forget CBC? Because Poilievre fucking wants to defund them too. Mr. Pro Free Speech wants to defund somebody who's potentially critical of you. So what winds up happening is Rachel Gilmore agrees to be a fact checker on CTV's election press coverage. So what happens is she's on for 1 week. And then the next week, she's taken off because there's somebody who they're interviewing. There's somebody involved in the election. I forget exactly who. But the next week comes by. She ends up losing her job, all because somebody on Poilievre's election team decided to put out a tweet saying that she's a, quote, disgraced journalist who has proven to have an agenda.
An agenda for telling the truth?
Well, we're also talking about a guy who does not want members of the press following his election campaign, which is the first time this has ever happened. And we're literally talking about somebody who literally sent their base to go harass somebody or harass a company into basically silencing them. Like these are the same people who like to play the victim card of, oh, conservatives are so oppressed, and then they decide to go ahead and oppress somebody else just because they don't agree with them. Now, for real, this is just one of the millions of reasons I can't stand this guy, and anybody who tries to say to me otherwise that he, quote, has Canada's best interest in art, no, he fucking doesn't.
No.
Like, these are the same types of people who would tell you not to believe everything the government tells you while voting for somebody like Donald Trump or Pierre Poilievre.
Yeah, those are the people I just cannot take seriously.
Yeah, you throw them in the blender with people who say both sides are just as bad, but then will actively go and defend douchebags like this. Like, I genuinely can't stand it. You know, it's like, just pick a lane and be honest. You're right wing. Just admit it. I'm not going to want to hang out. I'm not going to want to hang out with you, but I'll at least go, well, at least you were honest for 5 seconds. But to give my real honest thoughts about Mark Carney, really, if you do want somebody who wants to run a country like a business, we are talking about a guy who ran the Bank of Canada. Like, we're talking about a guy who ran the Bank of Canada and basically made sure that we didn't have the same financial crisis that you guys did in 2008. Like, we managed to weather that actually pretty good because of him.
I honestly commend the hell out of him for that.
And also, he also led because he was also governor for the Bank of England as well. Like, he basically said, do not go through with Brexit. Jesus Christ, you're about to cause a fucking recession. And then look at what happened. So yep. I also say that in mind because Poilievre wants to say that he actively caused the recession, that he actively caused Brexit to happen.
No.
And these are the same motherfuckers who want to come up to me and say to think for myself, this isn't the media telling me this. I actively did my research into this. I just don't freebase websites like Breitbart and fucking True North. No. I thought this was supposed to be the facts over feelings crowd, but all I'm hearing from the right is just nothing but feelings.
Exactly. A lot of them are basically just hypocrites hiding behind slogans like facts don't care about your feelings.
Yeah, exactly. And just to me, I really do not want to see Poilievre become prime minister. That will be a dark day in Canadian history. But given how well Mark Carney is polling, dude, cross your fingers for me that we avoid the same mistakes that you guys made.
So for those who want to follow along with the Canadian elections, when is like the actual day?
The actual day is April 28th. But just to be transparent with everybody, I will be voting next Friday on Good Friday, no less. So we do have advanced polling days. And I was even talking to a coworker earlier today about how much of a mess voting is for you guys. Like, how bad is it to go vote for you guys? I've never really asked you.
So we do have some advance like early voting. So, for example, so in the U.S., obviously the election day is like it's usually like the second Tuesday in November. But I had an opportunity to vote on my birthday, so that was like a few weeks before. And luckily, because it was during a work day and I got the day off, the lines weren't that bad. I could just go in, cast my ballot, and come out. So it wasn't too bad.
I think only a couple of times I voted on voting day, but this was all pre-COVID. During COVID, we have had elections like actually I'm remembering my time periods wrong. So I voted on election day in 2019, and then the election was called during COVID because Justin Trudeau called an election in 2021. So that's what caused the minority government to happen. So I voted early in that one, and I voted early in my provincial one. So now only the amount of times I've had to vote early are 50-50. I was doing my best to remember that to the best of my ability, but yeah, with this, I'm absolutely going to be going early, and I would urge anybody who can go early to go do it early. Just do it as your civic fucking duty.
Yeah, any opportunity you have to vote as early as possible, you should absolutely take advantage of that.
And also, the best thing about Canadian elections, too, really, you don't need to show like which party you're registered to or anything. Like, all you have to do, show your ID. They check you off on a list. You go to one of the ballot stations. You check off who you're voting for, and then that gets counted.
Sounds pretty easy.
Yeah, it is. I'm usually out of there in about 10-15 minutes at worst. But no, this is one of those elections that I'm really doing my best to just pay close attention to. And at least there are things like another good example is Mark Carney's appearance on The Daily Show. Like, he was genuinely funny on that appearance. Like, he was making jokes with Jon Stewart about the whole 51st state bullshit, which I'm going to comment on something in a minute, but he was making some joke about like Canada and the US being in a relationship, and he's like, no, like, I don't think we're going to move in together. We're not going to do something that moves that quick. Like, there's some clever back and forth between the two, and that's something I can appreciate, is a good sense of humor out of somebody. Like, of all the things there are things you can criticize Justin Trudeau over, but of all the things that you can't, is him having a sense of humor. Like, I don't know if I sent you this, Mike, but did I told you about the show This Hour Has 22 Minutes, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so there was one clip where the person currently hosting it, he was interviewing Justin Trudeau, I think sometime before or after Christmas. And I'm sure you've probably seen this online somewhere or heard about these. There are a ton of rednecks who have "Fuck Trudeau" bumper stickers where instead of the U, it's the maple leaf. And I think those people are way more insufferable than he is. So basically, the host is like, okay, before you go, Mr. Trudeau, I have a gift for you. He starts giving him a flag, and you see Trudeau drop down, and you see a CK drop down, and he's like, oh no, man, no. He's like, hold on, it's not what you think it is. And then they slowly reveal it just says good luck. Some good gentle Canadian humor never hurt anybody.
Oh no.
Like, to me, that proves he has a sense of humor. And that goes a long way with me. And like, Mark Carney's even done interviews with fucking Nardwar. So I mean, the fact that somebody like Poilievre is so humorless and just he won't even take questions from kids. Like another good example is the CBC did it was some questionnaire with a bunch of kids from like all the major political parties. So Jagmeet Singh from the NDP answered a question. Mark Carney answered one. The Green Party leader answered one. Pierre Poilievre was the only one to decline answering anything for them.
Wow. I just realized who else Pierre Poilievre looks like. I don't know if you remember the one kid from the Polar Express.
Oh God, no! Oh God, no! I'm not gonna unsee that now. Oh God, no! No!
That's now the mental image in my head anytime someone mentions Pierre Poilievre.
Knowing one of my friend's favorite Christmas movies is The Polar Express, I'm bringing this up to him and ruining it for him forever. Dear Satan, no. And here I was going to end up going off on how Canada is fighting, because to be honest, man, I think this is the most united Canada has ever felt.
Yeah, it's actually kind of cool to witness that.
So for American listeners who might not know, Canada is boycotting products from the United States. So any food made in the United States is not being sold, or it's being put like on the bottom shelves. And we're doing our best to push things that are Canadian brands, Canadian restaurants, Canadian foods, buying things locally. Even me, as somebody who really buys vinyl a lot and buys a lot of merch from the United States, I haven't bought anything from indie merch for months now. I haven't bought anything from Amazon, especially because they're selling fucking 51st State merch.
Oof.
Again, fuck you and the horse you rode in on. Fuck Jeff Bezos. You're not getting any more of my money. So I literally, for all of the new albums that came out, from like the new Killswitch Engage to the new Bleed From Within, I didn't buy them on launch, because guess what? I'm not giving Amazon any more of my fucking money because of this shit. So I want the billionaires to hurt. And literally the billionaires are hurting because Elon Musk's stock prices and just Tesla sales are down here in Canada. Like, aside from Germany and us, and probably you guys, like I don't know who like the top 3 countries are for like the drops in Tesla sales, but all 3 of us have to be up there, I'd assume.
I think that's a pretty safe assumption.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that, we're seeing so many like after COVID, whenever I'd see somebody with a Canadian flag, and I'm assuming this is how you're feeling right now too, Mike, with your flag, I used to just assume kind of the worst out of people. It was never, whenever I would see the Canadian flag, I would go like, oh, that person's really patriotic. At that point, I was going, is this person just another anti-vax moron who thinks that stay-at-home orders is, quote, oppression? Or wearing masks to Walmart or or just any grocery store they go to is oppression? All pumpkin, boo-hoo, you had to wear a mask for 15 minutes. So now it feels like people are actually pushing back against it, and just to throw some happier stories out there into the universe to, get us laughing throughout most of this. So coming home from the gym, I want to say 2-3-ish weeks ago, this was because of the whole Zelensky-Trump meeting happening. I saw somebody with a Ukraine bumper sticker on, and it said strong on it. So like, we happened to roll up right next to each other. I rolled down my window and they rolled down their window, and I literally said to them, Viva Ukraine and fuck Donald Trump, and I gave them the horns.
Nice.
They were pretty happy to hear that out of me. So, that we have a pretty large population of Ukrainian Canadians where that's their heritage. And, I like my city. I want to see it do well. I want to see it fucking thrive, dude. And I want to see, I want to be a well-liked member of my community too. I want to stick up for people like that. So, you know what? If it made somebody happy for 5 seconds, I'll gladly fucking do that.
That's good. That's just being a good citizen.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how you actually express your freedom of expression and freedom of speech. Deal with it. That's how you're supposed to actually do it. But I don't really know how to loop around any of this super well. I don't know how to transition well in and out of this, but I was saying this to you off air, Mike, and I got this off of one of Steve Boots' videos. I think it might have been either his video about, him just talking about his own personal history with politics, or if it was just another video that happened to relate to what's currently going on. But I'm going to paraphrase him and kind of just run with his point. How do you stay well and stay mentally well and not be burnt out and just constantly doom scroll on your phone what fucked up shit is happening throughout the week because of what Trump is doing, is to enjoy life.
Yes.
I'm just going to throw some awesome stuff that's been happening throughout most of my week now. Literally last Friday and Saturday, I went to 2 amazing concerts. I went and saw Mayhem and Imperial Triumphant the Friday. And thankfully, merch wasn't very expensive for snagging a Mayhem shirt, so I was super... And it was Canadian. It was red and white, too. So I had to get my hands on that, and it also helps. They were fucking phenomenal. Playing 2 to 4 songs off of every album was awesome. And Imperial Triumphant, I'm going to pressure Mike to go see them live because they are one of the most amazingly bizarre shows I've ever seen. Like, even the bass player was just hitting strings with a piece of a trombone just to get him to slap. And then on the Saturday, I went and met Whitechapel and saw them play with Brand of Sacrifice, 200 Stab Wounds, and Alluvial. And I saw both shows with great friends. And then throughout that Saturday, you want to know what I also did? I went out and I bought movies. I've been getting huge into collecting stuff on VHS along with my stuff on 4K and Blu-ray, just as a cool display piece and, to hopefully watch them if I get the TV at some point. And then also just throw in going to movies frequently the way I have been. I mean, I just saw Nosferatu about 2-3 weeks ago now, finally, and it was awesome. It was as good as everybody was saying it was. And then at the end of the month, we've got the re-release of Star Wars Episode 3, and then a couple weeks after that, we've got Final Destination Bloodlines coming out, and then the next month, it's 28 years later. So, Mike, I guess my question to you then is just how are you trying to keep yourself in a good mood throughout all of this?
Basically, it's not too different from what you're doing. I am just trying to focus on the things that make me happy, that bring me joy, whether that's going to the movies or like this coming weekend, me and a couple friends are going to Destiny USA, which is one of the biggest malls in America. I'm just gonna hang out, walk around couple stores, and then basically just spend time with friends, because that's just that's just something that we all need. We need to have people close to us who have our backs and can just people whose company you enjoy.
Community. That's what we need. Exactly. And that's the only way you don't let fascists like Elon Musk and Donald Trump win, is just by, yes, staying aware of what fucked up shit that they're doing, but also go enjoy and live life still too. Like, I know it seems tough too with everything that's going on, with everything becoming more expensive. But you know what? Just with everything going on right now, I'll be honest, I will gladly pay more if it's Canadian, just to make the US hurt a bit. And I know Mike has my back on that, just because, yeah, we will never be a part of America.
Yeah, I respect my Canadian friends too much to want to force them into a situation that they don't want.
Well, I'll get one more good laugh out of Mike, and then I don't have much else to say. But there is one genius meme where, instead of us becoming a state, how about America just becomes a part of Canada? Except for Florida, that can just be left where it is.
Exactly.
Or better yet, just to piss off Ron DeSatan, as you put it, just let them become a part of Puerto Rico instead, just to piss him off. And also humor. Don't let people think that, humor is important. Don't let people try to convince you otherwise, for real, because there is so much stuff I am getting recommended that is roasting everything that's going on, that I kind of can't help but go, you know what? Maybe things are going to be okay. Also, this new season of South Park is going to be real fucking bonkers, so I can't wait now.
Oh man. But the last thing I'll say, just the common theme throughout these mental health podcasts, is whatever it is you're going through, just know that you're not going through it alone. That's something we strive to reinforce, not just on this podcast, but throughout everything we do at Renegade Pop Culture. Is we're trying to build a community, and this is where it starts. So until next time, Nick, where can everyone find you online?
Super Saiyan Death Metal God on Instagram and on Threads. I always keep forgetting to plug Threads, but fuck it, I'll do it for this episode. So I mainly post album covers, movies I'm watching, video games I happen to be playing, like I just said earlier, concerts I happen to be going to. Go give my page a follow. Go binge like the shit out of my page. It helps with the algorithm. And I guess just one more time to just quickly loop through everybody I suggested at the beginning of the episode. Midas Touch, Brian Tyler Cohen, Kyle Kalinske, Steve Boots, Rachel Gilmore, and The Rational National. Go look them up on YouTube. Go look them up on like all the social media sites. Guaranteed you can find them anywhere, and go shoot them a follow. Guaranteed I'll weasel Mike into tagging them in this episode. Well, tagging their accounts in this episode.
Oh, absolutely. And you guys can follow me on various social media sites at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Blue Sky at Ren Pop Culture. You can also find us on YouTube, on Podchaser. Consider supporting our Patreon at patreon.com/Renegade Pop Culture. Listen to all of our podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. You can escape, so do we. That'll do it for this episode of the Mental Health Podcast. We will catch you guys later. Nick, take us out.
Elon Musk can oligargle these nuts.